Britt here. Have you ever hit your 40s and felt a quiet confusion or even a sense of grief that you couldn't really put your finger on? Or maybe it feels like the classic midlife crisis that we always hear about. It's a feeling that no one really talks about. It's kind of a deep soul level call to face the person that you've been so you can finally become the woman you were always meant to be. So in this video, we're going to talk about what no one dares to talk about, right, in this chapter of your life. And then we're going to introduce you to a powerful process called shadow work to help you find your most authentic self. So I want you to know that what you're feeling, if you're going through any of these feelings and thoughts, it's completely normal. In fact, it's a profound invitation. Women in their 40s and their 50s, even their 60s, often go through a unique midlife experience that really leaves them feeling possibly unseen or full of self-doubt and just plain exhausted, right? So the roles that you have poured yourself into, whether it's mother, partner, wife, grandma, professional, all these roles can be changing. And the identity that you've had for decades might suddenly feel that it doesn't fit anymore. So the goal really here isn't to fix something that's broken. It's actually about reframing the parts of yourself that have been quiet for far too long. So what you might be experiencing isn't a cliche. It's a necessary soul-level transition. It's an internal shift that can happen even when everything on the outside looks successful. So for years, maybe you've likely been the go-to person for everyone in your life. Your aging parents, your kids, your job. And now, as quiet space starts to open up, it can bring a gnawing sense of loss or anxiety, or even that nagging question of like, what now, right? So this time of life is often marked by hormonal shifts as well, perimenopause and menopause, relationship changes, like an empty nest, or even the buildup of past griefs. And society might make you feel like you should have it all together or have it all figured out, right? But let's be real. The truth is that many women feel like they're just starting to figure out life and who they really are in their 40s, 50s, even 60s. And this isn't a sign that you failed. It's a sign that your soul is asking now for something more real. It's a repositioning and chance to shed the old skin of who you thought you should be. So what's one tool that can guide you through this? Well, that's what we're talking about today, that's shadow work, which is the idea that comes from the psychologist Carl Jung, who described the shadow as all the parts of ourselves that we hide, repress, or simply flat out deny, even from ourselves sometimes. And it's not just like a dark side, right? Filled with negative feelings or anger or jealousy. It also holds our hidden strengths, our creativity, and our unrealized potential. So shadow work isn't really about picking apart your flaws. It's the brave process of bringing those hidden parts into the light with your own compassion. And for women over 40, this is incredibly powerful. Sometimes we were taught to just give up our own needs in order to be loved or to just keep the peace, right? So we pushed essential parts of ourselves into the shadow to be that good partner, to be that good wife, a responsible employee, or a loving mom. And shadow work can be the process of finally giving those abandoned places, those parts of ourselves, giving them a voice. And it's about making peace with the woman you had to be so you can fully step into the woman that you're now becoming. Now, this journey can sound kind of big and scary, so let's just break it down into 3 simple steps. Just remember to be really gentle with yourself, because this is deep work. So step 1, identify your shadow. Identify your shadow triggers. And your shadow often shows up in your strong emotional reactions, right? Or triggers that you might have. So notice what makes you feel disproportionately angry or jealous or sad. Maybe it's a coworker getting a promotion. Maybe it's a friend's picture-perfect family on social media. Or maybe it's just a feeling of being completely invisible in a room where maybe you used to be noticed a lot. Well, these triggers are like the messengers right now from your shadow, okay? So here's a journaling prompt for you. Think about the last time that you had a big, uncomfortable emotional reaction and ask yourself, what was the situation? And what raw nerve did it touch in me? Ask yourself what the feeling is trying to tell you about a need that really isn't being met. And then step 2, let's get curious about the why. So once you spot a trigger, try to meet it with curiosity instead of judgmentalism, right? This means trying to connect that trigger to your past. For example, feeling overlooked today might connect to a childhood where you felt your voice really didn't matter. And the deep sadness of an empty nest after really close relationships with your kids, that might tap into unresolved grief for maybe your own lost youth or some other issue. So the point isn't to blame the past, but to understand where your coping mechanisms had come from. So another journaling prompt for you. Take the feeling from your trigger and ask it, when have I felt this way before? What younger part of me is this feeling trying to protect? And number 3, reclaim your authentic self. And this step is all about integration, bringing what we're calling your shadow, the unrecognized parts of yourself, into the light with acceptance. It's about taking back the energy that's been tied up in repressing those parts of yourself. So this doesn't mean you have to act on every angry or selfish impulse. That's not what I'm saying here. It just means you acknowledge it with compassion, right? And reclaiming your authenticity can be as simple as saying, no. No is a complete sentence, by the way. So reclaiming that authenticity really can be as simple as just saying no without feeling guilty. Could be picking up a hobby that you dropped many years ago because you didn't have time, or letting yourself actually rest without feeling like you're a lazy person. And you can start living more honestly while you're honoring your own needs and boundaries. Okay, third journaling prompt today. What's one small, authentic thing you can do this week to honor a part of yourself that you've been ignoring? Jot it down. And to help you go deeper with this, I've created a downloadable PDF. The journey into your shadow isn't about becoming a totally different person. It's not. It's about becoming more fully and authentically yourself. And the quiet confusion you might feel in your spirit in your 40s and beyond, it's not an ending. It's a very powerful second beginning, or some of us a third beginning. It's your invitation to stop performing and start living from your soul. And you have decades of wisdom and experience, and now's the time to reclaim your power and use it. Reignite your voice and your spark. So I trust you'll embrace this chapter with courage. You're not disappearing. You're finally coming into more of yourself. So welcome home. And we know that Jesus is the light of our soul and the hope of our future and the hope of our now. So I trust you'll lean into that. And if you click in the link below, there are support materials and an option to connect if you'd like more support on this road. And if no one told you today, just remember, you are beloved.